Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness. Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast.
We get to be in the world from a place of contribution and service and love, not from labels and I'm so different and or I'm better than or whatever it is, right? All the stories we tell ourselves.
Yeah, and that social media tells us, and the noise out there in the world tells us that we should be listening to. And Lawrence, I'm loving what you're saying.
I want to invite you into the Business Network, my free school community for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to grow their network and scale their business. Inside, you'll get step-by-step lessons, monthly workshops, feedback, scripts, resources, bonuses, and a community of like-minded people who believe in helping each other win. Join us today at school.com/thebusinessnetwork or click the link in the description and click Join Group. I'll see you inside.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona, and, you meet some guests, you spend some time with them. I'm going to say this, man to man, I fell in love with this guy. He just gets it. He gets people, but how to treat people right with that servant's heart. And we're going to talk about presence, and that's so important as some of the great things that he does. But before we start the show, here's our gratitude for today. The hardest battles often lead to the most beautiful victories. And I'm going to speak for my guest. I think he knows what that's about. And I think all of you know what that's about. Obstacles are just a stepping stone to a victory. With that being said, let's bring our guest on. Lawrence, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Steve, for having me. And it's great to come on the show here all the way from Australia.
Another international guest, which I love. As I told you, I need to get out to Australia. If any of you haven't, I've heard beautiful things about it. Great people, but even better nature and just the ambiance of the outside. So can't wait to be there. But with that, right now, what's the biggest impact you've made in your life so far?
Well, it's a big question, but yeah, I mean, there's a few angles I could take on it as well. But I think in terms of the most lives reached is probably through my books. I've written 9 books on wellness and natural therapies and spirituality, meditation, a whole range of different topics. And I guess second to that would be the global accreditation body I'm the CEO and founder of. It's the International Institute for Complementary Therapists. Very long name. Wish I had come up with a one-word name when I founded the company 24 years ago. But it's commonly known as IICT, and we look after all of the various educators and natural therapy practitioners and coaches and you name it, 1,400 occupations. So again, a huge array of people doing great work. So we're helping the healers that help heal the world, you could say in a sentence.
Yep. Impact with books, and you've done 9. You got another 10th coming out. I love that because I always tell people as an author, you get to sit on people's coffee tables or nightstands forever. As long as they keep it there, they have access to presence in what you do. That is truly a huge impact. How many actual practitioners are in your institute?
Look, we have over 1,200 at the moment, and representing
Wow.
thousands of natural therapy educators, people who are founders of certain modalities, and we're looking after their graduates. I mean, we're looking at doing a 10x jump over the next 24 months in those numbers because of our reach, expanding out to 135 countries. So I feel like anything I do tends to end up being big, even though sometimes I'm like, oh, I may have bitten off more than I can chew here. But
Yeah.
yeah, I have a great team, great people around me to, support, bringing that vision to life. And I think having, uh, dying empty, you could say, living all out, giving your absolute, and that really is in the spirit of contribution, like being in service to not only ourselves, but to humanity, our communities. And then I think with that vision and that energetic and holding presence and being true to that vision, then naturally the energetic of that is that like magnets, you either repel or you connect, and then all these
Yeah.
connections start to happen. And of course, also the people that, don't have a sense of humor and aren't critical thinkers, they naturally, have an interesting look on their face and they leave, and that's great. So then we all the fun people stay, So I think it's important to be a little bit politically incorrect and, inject a bit of humor into the mix, because you really get to see where the barometer is with people, and if there's good alignment or not.
Yeah. What's the impact you want to make with the Institute?
Look, I want to really amplify and elevate all of the people that are doing that great work and actually create also global community to expand upon that. So I think people who are in the service and healing business are often very isolated, and a lot of them are entrepreneurs. And so I think community is a big one. And if we look at the rise of AI, if we look at what is human, what connects us, what is our humanity, that seems to be becoming more and more amplified. So, um, if we're looking at trends, we're really seeing that there's a lot of emerging wishes and interests for people to come together, like community gatherings and summits and in-person events rather than digitally, because there's something that happens uh, in the experience of being in the presence of another person's physical body and energetic quality of that. It's something that's next level. I just got back. We were on at a summit on Necker Island with Sir Richard Branson and about 100 thought leaders, and a lot of these people I'd met over Zoom, like we're doing here. And I tell you, the difference between Zoom and sitting across with someone and breaking bread and, conversation and, just also the idea of energetic proximity, it was just next level, so such a beautiful experience for everybody, And we often get that, we know that when we meet people, there's usually three experiences. One is we are instantly attracted or engaged. The other is we're instantly repelled. So we're using this analogy of the magnets. Or the third option is neutrality. And I would say if it's neutral, there's nothing to learn really. If there's repulsion or aversion, there's something to learn. And if there's attraction, there's something to learn. So in those two extremes is where our learning curves, where our edges lie. And of course, we want to move towards the thing that, feels engaging and attractive, and like we love the good stuff, right? And we want to like not be hanging out in the edge of the challenge, yeah, or the aversion.
Yep.
But there's an opportunity there to check ourselves to say, well, what is my relationship? What having curiosity around what is this aversion that I might be experiencing, and then work with that, because it's usually a direct reflection of our own, inadequacy or something, our trauma or whatever it is. So if there's a trigger, it's like, oh, this is the raw materials I need. These are the
Yep.
things I need to sharpen myself to elevate this version of myself that I want to support and grow. So I think hang out in the edges, because that's where, that's the exciting stuff. It's the raw materials that we need to, elevate and sharpen who we are as a person.
You're hitting me in my soul. I love that. And communities are so important. COVID, of course, taught us that when we were isolated, how important really communities are. Tell the audience how they can use community to grow themselves, whether it's personal or professional.
Yeah, well, I think it's really important that, community, we find our people, we find our tribe, right? And that takes time usually. and not always, but most of the time we need to, you know, kind of skirt around. It's like you're at a party and there's hundreds of people there, and eventually you find the person that you click with and have a conversation with, yeah. And of course, there are some people that are, extreme extroverts, and they just, they bounce around like a bee of all the flowers and try everything and connect to everybody. But other people are more introverted and they want to just have more of a deep presence and connection with the person across from them, or maybe a few people. Yeah. And then there's the third type, you could say, are the people that just sit by the food and quietly munch and not talk to anybody.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's not a lot of opportunity in that, you know what I mean? Like if we stay totally in our own self, and not seek the other or that connection to the other, then you know we probably end up eating too many potato chips or whatever it is. So, which isn't great, right? So we
Yeah.
grow, we nourish ourselves through the human engagement, the human interaction, and I think the extreme extrovert that just goes and speaks to everyone maybe doesn't get to land in something deep yet as well, and if we completely shy and we don't talk, we also don't get something. So I think the genuine connection and presence is where the gold is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that. That's why you're successful, because you're building communities, not only for them, but also it educates and you grow. You mentioned presence a number of times, which I love. Dive deeper into that. The audience is thinking, I'm present. I'm here, talking to Lawrence. But really, what is presence? It's just not that, right?
Yeah, well, I would say there's this outer experience of presence, and then there's the inner experience of presence. And or there's like, superficiality, that we can have a conversation, we talk about the weather and, oh, what have you been doing? And then there's the conversations that come from the depth, which are about, what lights you up, what are you passionate about, what are you most afraid of, what's keeping you up at night, what's your challenge or whatever it is. So I think when we are able to drop the external, outer, superficial conversations, get to the depth, or more like the heart of the matter, presence, I would say, is what lies underneath all of that. Yeah, it's not the waves on the ocean, it's actually the ocean itself, it's the depth. And then there's the opportunity for clarity, insight that comes from that. So, we also have that experience in meditation practice, where we are in a flow state or a deep presence state, and then the ego has the identification, oh, I'm really deep. Well, hey, you just lost it in that moment. The identification with the acknowledgement of depth is that you've already lost the thread of that, which isn't a problem. You just go like, relax and enjoy and just calmly abide in deep presence. And of course, presencing with ourselves is a good place to start. It's often hard to do that if we haven't cultivated it in our own inner world. And that's where things like meditation, mindfulness, just simply how we do things, maybe it's just the way that we put our shoes on and consciously tie the laces or whatever it is, or put the Velcro across, or the
Yeah.
sound of the Velcro when we take it off. So yeah, mindfulness in daily life is a great practice. And I think it's this distinction of not necessarily separating the difference between when we're, say, formally doing a meditation practice or something like that, or a mindfulness practice, and then just being in life from a place or a foundation of presence. So, eating our food or whatever we do, consciously doing things. But also, I think it's really powerful to consciously interrupt the way that we do things, because we can get a bit fixed in the way that we do something. So, I mean, a good example is, often people if they're brushing their teeth, they'll start, on one side and they'll do the next, and they follow the same pattern, and often unconsciously. So there's something also to be gained by pattern disrupting, and so, like, so what I consciously do is like, I'm going to do it the reverse order today, or I'm going to do something different. Like, doesn't just have to be oral hygiene, right? It can be anything that we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking a new approach. And I think, yeah, this keeps neuroplasticity alive, because we're consciously expanding horizons, and we can do that by meeting people. We can do that by changing the way that we do the regular practice, whatever it is, mundane or profound. It doesn't really make a difference so much. And, I think bringing awareness to presence is a great way to cultivate it. Yeah. And there's all the gifts that come through that.
Yeah.
And having fun with it too, because often we can be a bit too stiff or a bit too uptight. Oh, I have to do my thing, or I have to, being attached to an outcome being a certain way. And of course, there are so many options. So the other thing I do is I'm a Aikido sensei, so I teach martial arts and have done, for about 30 years in practice with that particular martial art. And we often say that it's the art of many alternatives. So if something comes towards you, there's multiple ways to deal with that. It's not just like it has to be this way. I can only do this. So often in that martial arts, you might do a technique and then the balance points off, or the outcome isn't quite as you imagined. But if you just continue to move and spiral and circle, you end up finding the resolution. You find the new technique, the new way. So one lends itself to the other. But of course, if we are operating, as an analogy in life, like the horse with the blinkers on, and I've only got this lane. But if we open awareness and have this idea that there's possibility, even having the idea that there's possibility, then we suddenly go, oh, I'm on like a 12-lane highway here. There's so many options, right? So yeah, so I think, fixed mindset versus open mindset, we have so much possibility and opportunity that can be there, but we just have to open our eyes and see how things really are. My Buddhist master, who passed away a few months ago, and I trained with him for a few decades as well. And he always said, if you could see yourself the way I see you, you would be walking around with a hand mirror all day, because you'd just be looking into the mirror going like, oh my God, how beautiful, how radiant, so much possibility, so much joy. Yeah. So the point he was making is that we often walk around, we carry all the labels, the judgments, the I'm not good enough, so if I only, or one day when, rather than just drop all the conversation, the internal conversation, and just be in presence and be in the heart of gratitude and love and possibility, then suddenly it's a very different way that we experience life, and others experience us in this way as well. So we get to be in the world from a place of contribution and service and love, not from labels and I'm so different, and or I'm better than, or whatever it is, right? All the stories we tell ourselves.
Yeah, and then social media tells us, and the noise out there in the world tells us that we shouldn't be listening to. And Lawrence, I'm loving what you're saying. I love everything you do, because I just started Tai Chi 4 weeks ago, and presence was within a week. Felt that, just me and my breath, and it's amazing the difference. It's
Yeah.
well, you get an audience, whether it's Tai Chi or meditation or breathing. That again, there's so many options. Presence can be formed another way. Like a servant's heart, presence is a skill, and what do you have to do with a skill? You have to practice, right? And you practice it every day, being present, right?
Yeah, and that it is a practice. There is no outcome in the terms of a final destination, right? So that's the other thing. So, you know, use the analogy that the flight takes off in your life and the plane never lands. Yeah, well, it's like an albatross, right? It just constantly flies for years, right? And that I think that's a good way to describe one's spiritual practice. That we're constantly in motion, we're always moving. We have a blue sky, we have, the expanse of the horizon, we have, multiple possibilities. And we're also not thinking that we will arrive at some place, a destination, actually, because, true spiritual practice and true whatever it is, as you go deeper into it and you're more and more curious, the more you realize also there's so much more to learn. So we often see that, like in martial arts, people, like, oh, I got my black belt finally after 6 years of training, so many times every day. and then you realize that that's just actually the first little hill, and there's so many more mountains after that. So the more you do, the more you realize there's more to learn. But of course, if we're fixed, or we've got the opinion that we're better than, or somehow we've now arrived, or we're so accomplished, so yeah, the idea, I think, is keeping the idea of a beginner's mind in life, that there's always new things to learn, new ways to experience ourselves, the other, our community. Yeah, so curiosity, living from the heart of compassion, staying present and true to ourselves, and doing it joyfully. Like, wow, that's a good cocktail I'd like to drink every day.
Yeah, get me drunk on that. I am all over that, Lawrence. And it's interesting. What I love what you're saying too is you never hit the top of the mountain, like a black belt. Oh, I mean, no, you're not at the top. There's other steps and other mountains to climb, and you're moving all the time, and it's just stagnant, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like in Japanese, when you reach your black belt, it's called shodan. Dan is like a black belt grade, and sho, it represents one, like beginning, actually. So you think you reached the end, and no, you just reached the. It's like you're at base camp 1 on Everest. You're just where you can put your supplies, and then you get a few things, and then keep going. Right? So yeah, the idea is that one never arrives.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing. I know it's glass half full, half empty. People might have different thoughts, but I'm with you. You arrived at one step. What's the next exciting journey that you're going to go on, which is so powerful? Coming close to the end here, but you had an experience with the Dalai Lama. I read in your background.
He wrote the foreword for my book, Everyday Buddha, and
wow.
Yeah, talk about having audacious visions, right? So I was in Spain at a Buddhist meditation retreat, and I was making wishes around the stupa. So it's like a peace pagoda in Tibetan Buddhism. And I was just walking around there, and I had written this book, and I was like, oh, who would be someone great to endorse this? And I thought, well, okay, who's the most visibly known person in Buddhism? And the Dalai Lama popped into my consciousness, and I was like, okay, so, slightly different tradition of Tibetan Buddhism that I practice, but I thought, okay, he's the most visible. And I thought, well, the wish is, may this book have the most impact and reach the most people possible. And you can do that by having, endorsement from someone of his, stature and so forth. So I wrote a letter to His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Dharamsala, India, and like a handwritten letter. And I sent the manuscript, and I just sent it off in the post. And about 3 months later, I got this official person, at the door of my house, and I had to sign, the signature to receive this letter. And I open it up, and it's the official gold in chop from His Holiness, all handwritten, and his signature and so forth, and saying, yeah, I'd love to bless that, and to provide the foreword, not just this is a great book to read, but the actual foreword. And yeah, so I was just firstly like wow, and amazed, and also so super grateful, so yeah, that was a real I think the lesson out of this is be audacious in your life, and go for something that is the absolute extreme, and see what the universe has in store for you. Yeah, and get out of the way, because if you get out of the way, then you allow the thing to come. If we're super fixed, has to be like this, delivered on this day in this way. Maybe there's 100 other possibilities that are far more convenient. It's like you're driving on the highway, and the GPS recalibrates because there's traffic, and go this way, it's 10 minutes faster or whatever. That's how we need to be, I think, in life. You put your order into the universe and get out of the way, and let the universe corral towards you. This is the opportunity in life.
Outcome you've mentioned too. Don't be tied to the outcome. And audience, I mentor entrepreneurs, and I talk about the ask all the time. That is a story of ask at the highest level. And if he didn't write you back, you still write the book, right?
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You just, if he does it, great, and you got rewarded by the universe, and he wrote it, and you got a forward there. If you never would have asked, you never would have the opportunity. I wanted to share that because Lawrence, that's so powerful. I'm going to use that story as I talk to others because I've done that too, and it's amazing. Sometimes it works, and it's great. And
Yeah. Don't ask, don't get, right? So, be audacious and ask. See what happens. Yeah.
I love your personality. You throw that little comedy in there with your spirituality. It's so beautiful because I want to try to be like that too. Because we need to have joy with the spirituality, right? That I think is a big key too. You got to be joyful in what you're doing, whether it's meditation, breathing, mindfulness. Well, let's end with a fun question to get to know Lawrence even a little deeper. You delved pretty deep already. So I'm going to come to Australia, and you're going to pick your favorite restaurant. 2 things I want you to do. I want you to invite 3 people, whether dead or alive, who've made a huge impact on your life. And number 2, because I'm a big foodie, I love to try things, I want you to order food for the table that we would be eating.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would, my Buddhist master who passed away, and I had the privilege of spending time with him for such a long time, I'd love to invite him to the table. And also, I spent a lot of time with Masaru Emoto, who did all of the ice crystals and consciousness and so forth. So I actually, last time I said goodbye to him, I didn't realize that was the last time I'd say goodbye. And, and that's the thing in life, you don't know when is the last time. So, that's the idea that, knowing that you or the other may die, then how could we possibly live from a state of quarreling or inadequacy? Like, let's just live and treat each day as if it is our last. So, I invite him to the table because I just want to say thank you. And also my personal mentor who I did all my training in shamanism with, and again, that was a similar thing. I remember saying goodbye to him, and then 6 months later, he had passed away. So, I think the biggest reminder for me is like live joyfully with gratitude. And, the last time you see a loved one or, a friend or whoever, you just don't know. Yeah. So death doesn't follow rules. So I think it's important, let impermanence be your inspiration to live fully, because we don't know how long we have.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
And what would we order? What would we order? I don't know.
What would we eat? Yeah, we got to eat.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's definitely some Asian options on the menu here. So maybe some nice Japanese food would be great.
Oh, beautiful. And I'm going to record that portion you just said about permanence. I read the Daily Stoic and Stoicism. That's what they talk about all the time. Death's inevitable. You don't have control over it, but you have control day to day. And, Lawrence, you're an absolute blessing. I've just met you today. I've seen, in the tribe that we're part of. But I really appreciate you taking the time. But I really appreciate you because you truly live a servant's heart and care about people. And that means so much to me. And, audience, I'm sure, wants to connect with you. How can they do that?
Yeah, you could go to my website, lawrenceellyard.com, or look up Lawrence Ellyard on Instagram. I actually get in there and respond to people personally. I have an assistant who helps with more my email communications, but yeah, on Instagram, I'm still on the front lines there, and it's great to connect and to, speak to new people, because I'm also always curious, like, okay, what's the next thing? Who's the next person I'm going to meet?
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that you're still right there front lines, successful as you are and as big as you're still talking to people, and love that. So I'm going to do something special, Lawrence. Audience, if you went this far, which I hope you did, because he's changed my life in 25 minutes, is if you reach out to Lawrence or me, mention this podcast, I'm going to send you one of his 10 books. Well, 9, and if you reach out later and the 10th book's available, you just pick the book, and I'm going to send it to you because I want to mimic what Lawrence is doing with this servant's heart and really impacting people. And I'm blessed because I got 9 resources here that I can do that. And I'm going to take advantage of that to help you out. And then share this out. You have people struggling with presence or spirituality or just life. I think these 20 minutes could really make a difference. And as we said multiple times on this podcast, an impact. So with that being said, me and Lawrence want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a blessed day and be present. Talk to you soon.